and then slowing down again at the end. I can also manipulate selections of notes this way and work in sections of the pattern. I can quantize the result, preserve the original time range of the selection, or preserve the original note end. Finally, the recombine transformation allows us to generate variations of our clips by holding the start position of each note while transforming the other parameters such as pitch or note length. I can also exclude pitch, note length, or velocity from the transformation using these buttons. I can explore different transformations by moving the slider in the graphical interface. Shuffle randomly recombines the MIDI note parameters, and mirror reverses their properties.
Live 12 scale mode allows you to work within a particular key or scale with ease, and its tuning systems allow you to explore and go beyond the traditional 12-tone system. Let's take a look. Let's go ahead and turn on scale mode for this clip. This will highlight the notes of my scale in the background. I can choose to turn this on and off right at the top. I can also choose to fold the MIDI clip so that I only see the notes I've played, or show the notes of the current scale. If I right-click, I can choose for the MIDI editor to show me sharps, flats, or both sharps and flats. I can also choose to show the MIDI note number instead of the traditional pitch names. MIDI clip so that I only see the notes I've played, or show the notes of the current scale. If I right-click, I can choose for the MIDI editor to show me sharps, flats, or both sharps and flats. I can also choose to show the MIDI note number instead of the traditional pitch names. Notice how when I turn the scale mode on and off, the interval control switches from semitones to scale degrees. Let's do 2 scale degrees here and click Add Interval a couple of times to build chords out of these single notes. Let's take a listen. Notice that whatever scale I have selected for the clip down below is mirrored up on top in the scale control bar. If I turn it on and off here, you will see that change get reflected in the scale below. I can even change the scale here and notice the change down below. Note that this is for the clip I currently have selected, not for the whole project. So So if I switch to a different clip, you can see that the selector turns off. I can also set the scale for a new blank clip in case I wanted to record something new here. Let's highlight both of these clips. I'll hold down Shift and click on the other one. You can see it's half off, half on. Let's turn the scale on for both and switch to D minor. I'll go ahead and play this bass line together with my chords. Sounds a little out of key, so I'll hit Fit to Scale here for this bass line. And all of a sudden, it's in key. Let's switch over to the device view for my chords track. Here on this track, I have a chord MIDI effect. Let's go ahead and turn it on. I'd like to use the chord MIDI effect to add additional notes to my chords and make them feel even bigger. To do this, I'll turn up the Shift control here, which will add notes that are 2 semitones above to the chords that I have now. Let's take a listen. Let's enable Use Current Scale on this chord device. And now you'll see that the Shift controls are in scale degrees instead of semitones. This will sound much more musical. Let's do +2 here. Much better. And maybe we'll do +4 on another shifter. Next, let's try adding this arpeggiator for some extra movement. I'll make the rate go faster here and turn up the gate. I'll turn up the number of steps, which transposes the pattern up or down based on the distance I set here. Let's try playing with the distance a little bit. Sounding a little out of key. Let's turn on Use Current Scale here. You'll see it automatically switches to D minor, and the distance is now set in scale degrees. I could even select this clip, click on a different scale to try a minor pentatonic, and you'll see that change reflected down below in the arpeggiator. Next, let's play with my meld synth. Meld has a detune parameter here, which, as you can see, is not really in key, but if I turn scale awareness on, it's sounding a lot more musical. I'd like to add some more melody to this project. To do this, I'll open up my browser and click and drag this sweet vibraphone melody clip into the project. Let's take a listen. Let's solo out the vibraphone and open up the MIDI clip. I'd like to try some alternative tuning systems in this project. To do this, I'll go down to the tuning section of my library. Live features a wide variety of tuning systems for us to choose from, and we can even bring in our own custom tunings in the form of .ascl files. Let's try this Wendy Carlos tuning. I'll go ahead and double click on it. You'll hear the sound of the vibraphone change as well as the name of the notes. Let's try a couple other different tuning systems. Cool, I'll stick to Wendy Carlos for now. Here I can play with the reference pitch of my tuning, the octave and note at which it appears, as well as the lowest and highest notes of my scale here. If I click this button, it will open up the web browser and show me Live's tuning system website where I can learn more about tunings. I can save this tuning that I've made as a custom one. Let's try it. Cool. I can choose to have certain elements bypass the tuning of my track.
Let's explore Live's MIDI transformation tools. Live's Note View includes 3 tool tabs that allow you to manipulate your MIDI clips in different ways. Scrolling through the 3 tool tabs, we have pitch and time utilities, transformation tools, and generative tools. Before we continue, I'm going to check I have scale through the 3 tool tabs to manipulate your MIDI clips in different ways. Scrolling through the three tool tabs, we have pitch and time utilities, transformation tools, and generative tools. Before we continue, I'm going to check I have scale mode engaged. I'm going to start by holding down B on my computer keyboard and freehand drawing some notes. In the Pitch and Time Utilities tab, I'll use the Fit to Scale button to nudge the notes in tune with my scale. The Invert button flips the notes on the vertical axis whilst maintaining the chosen scale. One thing to note about this and other buttons in Clip View is that when no notes are selected, it applies the transformation to all of the notes in the clip. Alternatively, when we've selected single or groups of notes, the transformation is only applied to the selection. I can add new notes at a set interval by using the Add Interval button. Since my clip has scale mode engaged, I'll think in scale degrees and add a fourth. Since my clip has scale mode engaged, I'll think in scale degrees and add a fourth. Pressing it again adds more and more notes at the same interval, making this a great way to create chords. Below, I have some options to manipulate the time of the selected note or notes. In this case, however, I have no notes selected, so these changes will affect all of the notes in my clip. I can double or half the speed with these buttons. Or I can create more detailed changes using the stretch knob. I can manipulate the length of the selected note or notes in the section below. The Set Length button will snap their length to the time value displayed in the menu to the left. Below this, we can humanize the notes by adding small differences to their onset time. The slider to the left determines how drastic these small changes are, with 100% equating to half of a cell of the current grid. Finally, the Reverse button reverses the notes in the clip or selection. And applying legato stretches the end of the note or notes to the next note in the clip.
In this video, we'll look at Live's sound similarity search. Sound similarity search helps you find alternative samples and sounds to try, or even swap sounds for an entire drum rack. In the browser, any sound or sample that works with sound similarity search will display the Show Similar Sounds icon to the right of its name when selected. Click the Show Similar Sounds icon and Live displays a list of related sounds, ranked by their similarity. You can further refine the results using the browser's filters. Click on any sound to preview it. You can hear how each sound is sonically related to the initially chosen acoustic guitar sound. Use this to quickly find variations for your sounds and samples when browsing. Sound similarity works with any sample in the browser that is less than 60 seconds long, as well as any instrument presets from the built-in library, or official live packs. Sound similarity search will also work with your own samples. Any sample files added to the Places section will be analyzed in the background by a neural network, making them available for use with sound similarity search. If you would like to disable this background analysis, you can turn off the setting for Enable Similarity Search Analysis in the Files and Folders section of Live Settings. Sound similarity search also works within drum racks and simpler. With a drum rack loaded, click the Show Similar Sample Swap button. Arrows to swap the sounds for all drum rack pads appear. Click these to swap out the sounds used for the entire drum rack. You can also swap individual sounds within the drum rack, or lock sounds so that they are not swapped when replacing samples for the entire drum rack. Within a simpler instrument, click the Swap to Next Similar Sample button to swap out the sample used in the simpler.
Let's investigate how we can edit MIDI notes in Live's Note View, and start by quickly orientating ourselves using this simple bass line. It's a bit messy, so we'll use Live's editing tools to clean it up. We can adjust the grid size via the menu in the top right and quantize the notes via the context menu, or by pressing Command-U on a Mac or Control-U on Windows. By pressing K on my computer keyboard, I can highlight the notes of the clip scale, and I can hide unnecessary notes by either toggling Fold Notes with F or Fold Scale with G. I'm going to nudge my bassline into key by using the Fit to Scale button from the Pitch and Time Utilities tab. With no notes selected, this will nudge all of my notes into the clip's key. However, I could choose to fit a selection of notes to the scale. In this clip, I have a drum loop that I would like to work on. First, I'm going to draw one long note onto the hi-hat pad, and then hit Command-E on a Mac or Control-E on Windows and slice the long note to the current grid setting. I can change the slice the long note, hit Command-E on a Mac or Control-E on Windows and slice the long note to the current grid setting. I can change the grid size and further slice some notes into smaller divisions to create some rolls. As well as slicing to the grid, we can divide a note into equal parts. I'm going to draw a long note on the snare pad and then hold down Option-E on a Mac and drag up or down. On Windows, I'll hold down E and then Control. As you can see, when I drag, I slice the note. I can also manually slice notes or selections of notes by holding down E and clicking on the point that I wish to cut. I can also join notes together by selecting them and pressing Command-J on a Mac or Control-J on Windows. When selecting notes, either by clicking and dragging or by holding down Shift and clicking on individual notes, you'll notice that handles appear at the beginning and end of the selection. I can drag these to the left and right to scale the selection, changing its length whilst maintaining the relative distances between the notes. This function snaps to the current grid, and I can hold down Command on a Mac or Alt on Windows to disable snapping. When working with patterns, it can be useful to toggle between selections. After selecting a group of notes, I can press Command-Shift-A on a Mac or Control-Shift-A on Windows to select everything that isn't currently selected. I can repeat the keyboard shortcut to toggle between the two. Let's take my original bass line and copy it onto this synth track by holding down Option on a Mac or Control on Windows and dragging and dropping the clip. I'm going to select notes and choose Fit Notes to Selected Time Range from the context menu. I could also use the shortcut Command-Option-J on a Mac or Control-Alt-J on Windows. As we can see, this stretches the beginning and end of every note to match the beginning and end of the whole selection. In this example, I've quickly created chords from the selected material. Double-checking my grid is set to 16th notes, I'll hit Command-E on a Mac or Control-E on Windows to slice the notes to the grid. Now I'll select the first section and add some velocity randomization using the lanes at the bottom of the note view. Here I can set the range of the randomization using the slider, and if I wanted to, I could add deviation to the randomization using the slider on the far right. I'll do the same for the third section. Now I'll select the second section and program an upwards ramp to the velocity using the sliders in the velocity lane. I'll do the opposite in the fourth section, ramping the velocity downwards. I can select a note or group of notes and adjust their velocity holding Command on a Mac or Alt on Windows and using my keyboard's arrow keys. I can also hold down this key and drag up and down with my mouse or trackpad for quicker adjustments. Finally, I can type the desired velocity number and hit Enter. Many functions in Ableton Live are both toggled and momentary using their shortcut key. Take for example B, which is used to toggle the pencil. If I press it once quickly, we can see that it toggles state. However, if I press and hold B, it becomes momentary and the pencil will be active until I let go of B. The same principle applies to many other shortcuts, such as S for solo or Z for zoom. Finally, when the computer MIDI keyboard is activated, either via its button or the shortcut key M, you can hold down Shift to temporarily disable the MIDI keyboard and access shortcut keys.
Ableton Live 12.1 brings major additions and improvements to Live. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the new tools and workflows available to you. The new Auto Shift device brings real-time monophonic pitch correction to all editions of Live. Auto Shift is the first scale-aware audio effect in Live, so it can be set to follow along with the key and scale of your clips. The strength and smooth controls adjust the amount and speed of correction, letting you go from naturalistic pitch correction all the way to more creative, hard-tuned effects. pitch and format controls let you adjust the overall pitch and tonal character of your signal. Auto shift works well for vocals, but is suitable for any monophonic signals. It's also possible to play and harmonize the incoming signal polyphonically via the MIDI sidechain. The new drum sampler device pairs essential sampling controls with creative playback effects, giving you a faster way to flip, mangle, and fine-tune your beats. There are several playback effects available, each with their own unique sound. Each effect can be adjusted via the two macro controls, or by clicking and dragging within the XY pad. The updated saturator gives you new ways to add warmth and character to your parts. The new bass shaper mode is perfect for beefing up low-end signals such as 808s or bass lines. The improved color section lets you dial in precise tonal control of your saturation. Live's limiter has been completely overhauled in both sound and appearance. The new UI provides better level and gain reduction metering and a more pleasant look. Besides the standard mode of operation, limiter now includes soft clip and true peak modes. Soft clip introduces gentle clipping to signals approaching the ceiling level, whereas true peak prevents peaks between samples. The new maximize toggle allows controlling dynamic range and loudness with a single threshold control. Chopping MIDI notes is now easier and more powerful thanks to a new dedicated MIDI transformation. Here we'll use the new Chop MIDI tool to create a hi-hat pattern. It's also still possible to chop notes through the chop note operation in the MIDI note editor, which features an improved workflow. The new Find and Select Notes option introduces additional workflows for selecting notes in the MIDI note editor, including searching for specific notes using different filters. Find and Select Notes can be activated by pressing the magnifying glass button located in the Clip Content Editor settings. When the option is active, you can use multiple kinds of filters to select notes. In this example, I'll use the duration filter to select only notes whose duration is between a 16th note and an 8th note, to quickly select these shorter melodic patterns and move them up an octave. Two new MPE MIDI transformations are available, which can be used in various creative ways. The Glissando MIDI tool ties successive notes or groups of simultaneous notes, making the pitch bend envelope of each note connect to the pitch of the successive one. Controls in the transformation allow you to adjust the shape and starting point of the envelope. The LFO MIDI tool sets an oscillating envelope for one of the MPE parameters of selected notes. It's possible to select a shape, rate, and set a global amplitude envelope for the oscillator. You can now apply grooves more easily. The groove is loaded with the default live set and automatically applied to any new MIDI clip. By default, the global groove amount is set to 0%, so all you need to do to apply the groove is adjust this value. In the groove pool, there is a new auto-load groove toggle on by default that controls whether a groove is auto-loaded on new MIDI clips. It is now possible to use the new undo history feature available via the view menu in order to display a list of the available undo and redo steps, with the possibility to undo and redo multiple steps at once by clicking on an entry in the list. Live can now automatically assign browser tags to user content and VST plugins. As a part of sound analysis, Live will assign a new tag type to user samples with a tag that best matches the sound Live anticipates the sample belongs to. This applies to samples no longer than 60 seconds. Auto tags can be shown and hidden in the browser using the Include Auto Tags toggle, and can be removed or changed to user tags in the tags editor. VST3 plugins will now be assigned a tag based on VST3 metadata. It is also now possible to reorder tags and tag groups in the tags editor. Right-click and choose Reset Tag Order to reset the order of the tags to default. You can now create nested tags with up to one nesting level. It is now also possible to tag folders in the library and places. When a folder is tagged, all the content contained within it is also tagged. By tagging the folder, all of these shaker loops are now also tagged with my custom loops shaker tag.